Today's episode is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/figureoutyourlife. With over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, and Kindle. Now let's get to the show. Hey tribe, welcome back to Figure Out Your Life podcast, the podcast where we talk about life and try to find the answers to life's everyday questions. I'm your host, Toya T, aka Toya T PhD, aka Dr. T, aka your sister from another mister, aka the friend that you definitely need but didn't know you wanted. Because I will definitely, I ride or die for my friends, I'm telling you, unless you become toxic or try to, do something, then I'm going to go 0 to 100 real quick on you. 0 to 100 real quick. Real quick. Let me stop being stupid. Okay. Let's start this off with love and light and manifestations. Happy 2020, everybody. Happy New Year. I'm so happy to talk to you guys. I mean, it's been a long time since I talked to you. And, since I made the last podcast before Christmas and took those 2 weeks off to just, relax, relate, release. If you get any of my references, you are a rock star. Just going to say that. But let me just catch you guys up. Christmas on my end was great. I had a good time. It was my mom and my brother opened up presents on Christmas morning. We had gone to midnight mass the night before, and then in the afternoon we drove to my aunt's house in Connecticut, where my grandmother and one of my other aunts was also there. And so it was just a nice little family get together on Christmas. We stayed there for the night and then drove back the next day. And then for New Year's was a little bit different for me because I can't remember the last time I went to like a New Year's party, like somewhere out. Like it must have been a couple of years. And so, this was a change for me where I actually went out with my friend Tania. Hey, Tania girl. Hey girl. We went to a bootleggers ball party at Daryl's Corner restaurant in Boston. And, it was about, I paid like $10. She paid like $20. And, because I got an early bird special. But besides the fact, got dressed to the nines. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll be able to see the pictures of how I was dressed like a million bucks. I was like, yes, I was trying to give the aura, the image, the vibe of I'm rich, bitch. I was giving you some real Nene leaks on there. I'm rich, bitch. Look, I had the faux fur, even though it looked like it was real fur, but it was not faux fur. Okay, I mean, it was not real fur. It was faux fur. I had my black fur coat on and my sequins, one-shouldered Badgley Mishka dress with the slit. I was trying to channel something like Beyonce, and I had my, my Happy New Year crown. Makeup was beat. I will say one thing. I probably will never go back to this place again for a New Year's Eve party or any kind of party because it was so fucking disorganized. Let me tell you. It was supposed to be from like 10:30 until 2 o'clock. And they had I seen that they had 2 dinner events before. So one at 6 and one at 8. Problem is, by the time I got there, they didn't kick out the people from the 8 o'clock dinner event, which was like a live, band and then dinner and sit down dinner. These people just stayed and they didn't kick them out. It was like, hello, what you do is he's like, we have another event after this. We really need you to pay your check and please go someplace else, or we're going to have to charge you the extra fee for staying, through our next event. But they didn't do that. So there's just a lot of people in there, and a lot of people that you can tell was not there for the party. Okay, the party where we, getting it in. There was a lot of old folks still sitting there just watching. It's like, okay, you taking up space here. I know you want to celebrate your New Year's Eve, but I don't know if you want to celebrate it with us trying to get crunk. I mean, we playing some freaking City Girls with Cardi B talking about twerk, 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 and they just looking like, what the fuck? And it's like, well, you decided to sit here and stay, but it was cool. I was just really mad. The only thing that really got me upset is that as a part of paying the fee for this ball, everyone's supposed to get like a free glass of champagne for the midnight toast, and so they didn't seem to have this worked out. They were like, oh, the DJ was saying like go to the bar to get your champagne, and I went to the bar. And I could barely get there because there was so many freaking people there. So many freaking people there that I didn't have my champagne in my hand. And I went to go get my friends too because we got a table and ordered food. I had to get my chicken and waffles because I love some chicken and waffles. And so she didn't want to get up because then people would sit at our table. So she stayed and I went to go get our champagne toast, and I just could barely, the bartenders should have shut down their bar service for like 30 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever, and then just pour champagne to give out to everyone that was there. But they didn't do that. They was like last minute trying to pour everything, so I didn't get my champagne in my hand at midnight. They're counting down and I got my hand up trying to get a glass. Did not have a glass. I wasn't even next to my friend when the clock strike midnight. I was just like, I had to look over to her and like wave. I was like, hey, happy New Year, girl. Which was just very disappointing. I just wanted to be able to like, clink glasses with her and, record it for the gram. But that didn't happen. But I did get my champagne. Luckily, this woman next to me, she got her drink, and then since we were standing next to each other, she got one for me too. And then luckily someone sitting in front of me was like, I got a glass of champagne, but I'm not going to drink it, so you can have that. So I got the 2 glasses and was able to really start off my New Year right. By the time when I got back to the table, the food had been served. And they had all this confetti and stuff that I didn't get to pop because I was standing in the bar line. But then also when they popped the confetti, because I was on the outside, so they're like the way the tables are, so they have a bench, like a long bench, and then on the other side they have like the chairs for the tables. And so since I was at the chair, confetti got all over my fucking chicken and waffles. And I was like, you know what? Relax, relate, release. Don't sweat it. It's just, and it's just like big, glitter, not glitter, but like those big confetti, like metal confetti. So I was like, you know what? I'm hungry. I don't have the time to wait for them to make me another one. So I'm just going to, pick up my waffles. I'm going to move my chicken to my napkin, pick up my waffle and just shake it. Can you imagine shaking confetti off your food? So I did that, and I was like wiping off my plate. And then, when we finally got our syrup, because homegirl, the waitress, was just so busy. That's how busy they were. She didn't even bring the syrup out with the food. So when she finally did it, I was like, I'm eating because I'm hungry. Okay. And I had ordered another drink. So I got that. I had my drink, my champagne. I was like, okay, this is where I want to start. Problem was, there was still a little bit of pieces of confetti in my plate. I'd like find it in like crevices as I'm eating. And I was like, you know what, just put it aside. Like, hopefully I don't die from some kind of like weird confetti disease. But obviously I didn't, because I'm still here. I am still here. I'm still standing. Shout out to Monica. So that was my New Year's Eve. And because it started off with just like, unexpected, like obstacles, but then still finding like the joy out of it, because like I was dancing, like the music was popping, it was good. They had a photo booth, we were able to take pictures. I was able to take pictures with my friend, and I didn't leave until like 1:30, which is like, not normal for me, because I don't go to clubs no more. I really don't. When I do finally get to go out and dress and dance and drink, old Toya T comes back. Like 18-year-old Toya T comes back, 15-year-old Toya T comes back, who used to love to party. So I had a really good time sweating it out, dancing like, hey, so I had a really good time. But because of that, I wanted to have a very light and fun episode for the first episode of the year. I feel like I mean, I love talking about all the real topics, like real life topics. And I love how you guys have been responding, new listeners, old listeners who have been saying like how helpful it is, people who have been writing down stuff and like really processing the information that I have researched and then decided to share with you guys and talk through. But for this one, I wanted to be silly because, I mean, if you can tell from the episodes, like I'm laughing. I make myself laugh. I like to laugh. I laugh at myself. I laugh at others. It's not malicious. It can't be malicious because I laugh all the time. Just ask anybody. Like I have a friend. I don't think he listens to my podcast, but my friend Jamoki, every time he calls me, because he's like one of the few people that will like call instead of text. Every time he calls me, when I pick up the phone, I'm laughing. And he's like, oh my gosh, like, why are you laughing? I'm going to stop calling you. I was like, I'm laughing because like, I just find it funny that you're one of the few people that calls me, and we will have like a long, long conversation. We'll be on the phone forever. And I just get joy out of it. So that's why I'm laughing. But I thought that it would be great to start off the year with a really fun, like wacky kind of like, if we were hanging out. So this is going to be our little hangout session. If we were hanging out over some drinks and we were just having a silly conversation, this is what it would be. So if you can tell, you read the title. This is figuring out life lessons from reality TV. And I'm gonna focus on reality TV of like the past year, maybe the past decade. But I think most of the events that I'm going to discuss came from the 2019 season of reality shows that I watch. So I don't watch that many reality TV shows. And in all honesty, some of them that I'm mentioning, I don't even watch them directly. I listen to people recap them on YouTube because I just cannot waste the brain cells to watch them. And so there's probably like only a few of them that I actually watch directly. But I'll let you know. So anyway, let's start off this fun show of, we're going to do 10 life lessons from reality TV. So here we go. All right. So number one, and I'll tell you where I'm getting this stuff from, like the examples from reality TV. So if you're a reality TV buff, you'll get it. If not, you can go look these things up. You don't have to watch the whole show. You could just look up these people. So number one is don't be jealous of any of these people that you see on TV. Because most of these stars don't really got it. And you probably got more than they do. And where I got this from, right? A couple examples. So first, from Love and Hip Hop, the complete franchise, not just one show or another. So I learned that from Tierra Marie, and the fact that Homegirl had a record deal with Rockefeller Records at 16 years old. She had that song, I don't know the words. Feel good. Any boys out there know how to make a girl make her feel good. That was my song. And then she came up with that stupid song, No Daddy. I ain't got no daddy around when I was growing up. That's why I'm wild and I don't give a fuck. And it's like, yeah, I get it. So she had that whole thing. She actually was the first female of Rockefeller, like first, like singing lady of Rockefeller before Rihanna. And then we all know what happened with Rihanna. Rihanna just completely just blew up and just like, she is Rihanna now. She's Riri. And Tierra Marie is on Love and Hip Hop Hollywood, trying to scrape $2 together to make 15 cents. Or try to make $1 out of 15 cents, which is funny, or 50 cents, because if you've been following, you know that she had a whole sex tape thing that happened with a boyfriend that she brought on the show like an idiot. And she wanted to go ahead and sue him for like revenge porn. But then she also sued 50 Cent, who had like reposted the videos of her having sex with this dude. And when she got to when she filed the lawsuit, they actually threw it out and actually put it in the I think 50 Cent won the lawsuit. So she actually owes him $30,000. And Homegirl has been on TV, had a record deal, lives in LA, and you would think it's so glamorous and all that stuff. And Homegirl's like, I ain't got it. And it's like, how do you not got it? And then when 50, of course, because he is so freaking petty. I mean, he's a Cancer. So I'm just telling you, don't mess with us, because we go from 0 to 100 real quick. And I think he just stay at 100. So they had to do like forensics of her accounts, and they found out that homegirl only makes $3,000 per episode. $3,000 per episode, and that's only if you're on if the episode airs and you're on it. So if you're not on the episode, you don't get paid. And I'm like, oh my gosh, girl, how do you not have it? How do you not have it? How do you not have it? I don't like, not even enough to like pay him in a payment plan. Like, I'll pay you $10,000 this month, and $10,000 or $5,000, or I'll pay you $2,000 or whatever. I was like, oh my gosh, girl, that don't make no sense. I mean, even I was thinking about it, and I was like, yo, that it is mind boggling, because, you know, when I was working, I definitely made enough to be able to pay 50 cents off in a payment plan, because I was paying that in student loans, and it just didn't make any sense to me. So I was like, okay, I cannot be, you know, you really cannot go off of what you see on TV and just assume that people on television got it, because then also look at Little Fizz, who's also on Love and Hip Hop, Hollywood. He was a part of the group B2K, and to find out that this dude was like hopping from house to house because he didn't have his own house. And I was like, okay, well, I live at home with my mama, but like, I also was not a part of like a like top selling band or group, music group. I'm not on television, but somehow, if I really needed to, I could live without having to hop from place to place. If I didn't have these student loans, trust me, if I didn't have a mortgage and student loans, I'd be balling. But I got it from that. Also, let's go to the Real Housewives of Atlanta. So, you know, the Real Housewives franchise really is supposed to be about opulence and looking at these rich, you know, housewives that, you know, how they live and blah, blah, blah. But we all know that all of them aren't housewives on these shows. But I particularly love Real Housewives of Atlanta. I've been watching it since the beginning because it's like, you know, I'm a predominantly black cast, except for Kim Zolciak, and then she left, and now it's all black cast. So it's great. And it was based in Atlanta, where they show black wealth and show, like, you know, like people really living it up. And even from that, you still saw falsities. You still saw things that like is not true. And I'm thinking about like Sheree Whitfield, who took, I don't know if she finished Chateau Sheree. She claims that she did, but apparently the house is not in her name because she had to put it in her mama's name because so many times she wasn't paying her contractors. And so they were suing her and, like, you know, putting liens on her. But even before that, there was a time when she lived in a condo, and when they went around, there was like a famous thing, a well-known, like, you know, like joke about her. Like, when they were panning around and showing her family living in this condo, her son was sleeping on an air mattress. And it's like, you're on this show where we know you are definitely making money, and your son's on an air mattress. Or if you looked at like other people on the show where they have these like big fabulous homes and they have no furniture in there, and you're like, okay, so you house poor, so you bought this house, or maybe are leasing this house or renting this house just to show like, oh, look at this, my fabulous mansion, but you ain't got no furniture in there. Like, what the hell? Why did you, like, why? Like, that's not wealth. That's not something that, you know, I aspire to. I told you, when I get myself together, which will be this year. So when I get myself together this year and I get a new job and I have benefits and I can start, you know, accumulating wealth again and starting to pay off heavily my debts, and I'm ready to move out, y'all know that I said I ain't moving out until I'm able to also furnish whatever I move into. So I ain't moving out my mama house until I can afford to buy a house, which once I have a full-time job, I can. Like, I have excellent credit. I told you, I got excellent credit. I got money in the bank. Show you what you drank, for a down payment. And even on that, like, just the fact that I have, like, I'll be a first-time home buyer and I have excellent credit. Like, I mean, I could easily get a house with zero down. I just need to have, like, you know, I need to have a steady income, which is what I don't have right now as someone who's unemployed. So once that happens, I'm not buying nothing, I'm moving into nothing unless I am able to furnish that house. And I don't mean like fully furnish and move in. I mean like your bedroom is fully furnished, your living area is like furnished enough, like you got couches, a coffee table, pictures on the wall, which is never a problem for me because I collect art. I've been collecting art because I love to travel, and everywhere I go, I always buy something that I know that I'm going to put up, and I just love gallery walls and stuff like that. But and I'm already accumulating like household utensils. Like I have all that stuff packed up in the crawl space in my mama's house, like, pots, pans, stuff from when I was living on my own from my old apartments, but also new stuff too. So I got all this stuff because I refuse to move somewhere and they be like, girl, where your furniture at? Where your furniture at, girl? And it's like, oh, I ain't got it because I was so much in a hurry to keep up with the Joneses and have a house. So that's what I've learned that's lesson number one. Lesson number one from reality TV shows. Learn from Tiara, learn from Lil Fizz, learn from Sheree Whitfield, learn from these people. I mean, learn particularly from the people especially on Love and Hip Hop. A lot of them got apartments that are really just Airbnbs that the production company has rented for them to look like they have a house, but they really don't live there. Like, learn from these people. Don't be jealous. Don't be jealous of other people. Don't be jealous of other people because you really don't know what they have. They probably don't got it, and you probably doing way better than they are. Let's move on to lesson number 2. I don't want to make this long, so I hope this is interesting for you guys. Okay, number 2, always do your research. Google Images is your friend. Just Google in general is your friend. Just Facebook stalking people is your friend. And where did I learn this from? Catfish. These last couple of days, I have been going on a catfish binge, and not like watching the show itself, like on YouTube, like the catfish has a channel, and they have like all of these like rankings, like, like the most heartless catfishes or catfishes that turned out to be exes. So I was just like watching all of these things, just like, oh my gosh. But what I learned from it, I was gaining from it, is that my practice of cyber stalking any person that I am dating or am interested in dating is a good thing, because that's how I make sure that they're not a fucking catfish. That is why I don't trust nobody that ain't got no social media, because you're probably trying to hide something. Remember when I told you about my online dating experience where homeboy said that he didn't have a Facebook, he didn't have Instagram, and I still found him. I didn't find him. I didn't find the right information at that time, but like I found his like family because I knew his name, I knew where he worked, and so I was able to see like, okay, I see you are family oriented, like you said. You hang out with your brother and your nieces and your nephews. But what I didn't see, what he was trying to hide, is the fact that he had a whole girlfriend, and his girlfriend was posting him on her Instagram, even though he didn't have one. And all the pictures that he sent me of him traveling were pictures that she took of him or pictures that he cut her out of. And so that's when I knew. I was like, see, you cannot trust somebody who does not have a social media, because you need to see all this information. I wasted my time talking to this dude. He had a whole girlfriend that he told me that he did not have. So that's why you gotta do your due diligence, okay? I use my PhD research skills for evil, but actually for good for me, because I mean it's kind of weird and crazy and evil to be like going into people's stuff, because once I know your name, your first name, if I have your government name, your first name, I can find you if you tell me what you do for a living. If you or especially you can just go through Facebook, I will search through all that stuff. I've done it. I met this guy at a club, and he told me his name. I didn't know his last name. I just put his name in Facebook, and I found him. Because we had several friends in common. So I was like, oh, okay, let me look at this. But you definitely need to do your due diligence. You need to go and dig in. I mean, the crazy thing about the world that we live in right now is that if you have someone's full government name, you can find out all their information, which is scary. You can find out all the places that they used to live. So every time I look myself up, I see like they have all my addresses from when I lived in New York, especially when I lived in Brooklyn, when I lived in the Bronx. They have those addresses. They have the address of when I lived in Atlanta, the 2 different places that I lived in Atlanta. They also have my address from when I lived in Cali. They have my address, my childhood home address from Boston, and now it's like, oh my gosh, they got your age on there. Then you go further, it'll bring you to your job, because like, almost everybody has a LinkedIn. And even on that, like, you can find high school things. Like if you played sports, you'll find people's like, because the schools will put like, oh, we played this thing, and this is our roster of players. And so you'll find information that way too. Trust me, I've done all of this, and sometimes I used to feel like kind of bad about it, but now I'm gonna shout it from the rooftops. Like, dude, I'm gonna look your ass up to make sure that you are who you are. You ain't gonna catfish me. We ain't talking. We're not gonna talk for 2 years, and then you talking about you ain't got no video chat. Because if you ain't got no video chat, I don't even talk to you. I don't even talk to you. What are you doing with your life? Because there's so many different ways, free ways to talk to somebody and see them. You got Skype. You got you have Google Chat. You have FaceTime. You have even Facebook has like, not Facebook. You can talk to somebody on Facebook. You can talk to somebody on Instagram, when you can actually talk to people, video message them on Instagram. So don't lie to me and say, oh, well, my camera's broken. Well, if your camera's broken, this relationship is broken. So catfish made me feel real good about that, because these people, you watch them and they saying like, oh, we were talking for like 6 months, 8 months, 2 years, 3 years, 7 years, and I've never seen them on camera. They always say that their camera's broken, or I never hear them talk on the phone. Like, it's very rare. And we always text. That person's a catfish. That person is a catfish. I mean, I like to text too, but we don't have to talk on the phone if we trying to date. I'm gonna have to hear your voice. I'm gonna have to hear it, because if you sound like this, I don't want to talk to you. I can't be with somebody that got an annoying ass voice. If you sound like the villain from Who Framed Roger Rabbit, when he I'm gonna spoil it for you, at the end when he revealed himself and he was like, back when I killed your partner, I talked just like this. Sorry, people. Yeah, I ain't trying to be with no dude that sound like that. So just point that out there. You got to do your due diligence. You got to do your research. You got to cyber stalking is good. Not if you're going to use it to go follow people, but if you're trying to find out information about someone that you're romantically interested in, you best to do your research. Number three. So here, number 3 has like several sections, and I'm gonna tell you where it's coming from. It's coming from 90 Day Fiance. So here's some lessons I learned from 90 Day Fiance. 3. So anybody can be married. So don't feel bad. Here's a lesson. Don't feel bad or feel rushed to get married. Don't feel bad about being single. It doesn't matter what age you are. Because marriage really should not be your like ultimate goal. Like, you should want to be in a loving relationship with someone. That should be the goal that you're growing towards. But marriage itself should not be the end all and be all, because a lot of people kind of like, focus on the whole, like, I just want to get married thing. And then they don't think about what happens after you get married. Like, they don't think about what happens after the wedding. They're like, just, I want to get married. Look at my wedding. And then after that, you're like, okay, so how's the relationship? And you found out it's shitty. So that's what I learned from 90 Day Fiance, is that like anybody can get married, because like, as my mom was talking like, oh, you were married, all your friends are married. I swear my mom doesn't sound like that. All your friends are married. So why aren't you married? And you're going to be an old cat lady by yourself, and everyone's going to be taken. And I'm like, really, lady? Like, if it really, you want to talk about, you want to use being married as like a status symbol, or as like a goal that I'm unable to achieve for some reason, and I'm going to be left out. No, because if I want to get married, I can find any dude out here who's looking for a green card, because there's one thing that I am blessed with. And it's the fact that I am an American citizen. I have an American passport, and anybody who don't have one could be is looking for one, I can marry and help them get one. And so if I really want to be married, hey guys, I'm married. I'm married now. If I want to be like, I'm married now, I can just go find me any dude that's looking for a green card. Let me just go, like just following the show. I can just go down to the DR, so Dominican Republic, which is where a lot of these women on these shows that I mean, like, I haven't watched all the seasons, but most of them, when I look at the females that get a 90-day fiance, they're either getting their men from the Dominican Republic, Jamaica, which is not as much, but really Dominican Republic is like number one, or some country in Africa. And so if I really wanted to, all I got to do is do my year of return, go to Ghana, go find somebody, just hop over to Nigeria, definitely can find me somebody there, or just hop down to the DR or Jamaica and sit on the resort and just look open, just look single and open, because if I'm looking for a husband, I can find one that way. It's simple, but that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a loving, lasting relationship, a partnership. And so that's what I learned from 90 Day Fiance, is that anybody can get married, so you should not feel bad about being single. Take your time and find the person that's right for you. What else? 3A. If you do marry someone or get in a relationship with someone that is from a different culture, please learn about their cultures. Learn about their culture. Don't sit there and be like some of these women, and it's most like it must be an American thing, because like it's so frustrating when I watch these shows and the women are on there and they don't understand like the cultural differences, and sometimes the men kind of like, you know, use it to their advantage to like not do something, but in most cases it is absolutely right. So for example, there was this one white lady that met her man on and she went on vacation in Jamaica, and so she brought him up, and there was this whole conversation about whether or not, like, she was like mad at him because like her sisters had asked, like, oh, so are you going to be sending money home to your sisters to help out? And he was like, yeah, you know, like once I get a job, I'll be sending them some money. And the homegirl got so mad. She's like, I spent all this money and all this time to get you up here, and as soon as you get a job, you're going to be sending half of your money down there when you should be helping to support the family that we have up here. And I was like, first of all, homegirl, what he said does not sound foreign to me or sneaky, because if you grew up in an immigrant household, that is normal. That is absolutely normal. And it's not just, you know, Jamaican immigrant, or black immigrant. It's all immigrants. If you still have family back in your home country, sending remittances is quite common, especially since in his case, he was living with his sisters before he moved to America to, you know, marry this woman, and he was contributing to the household, helping his sisters take care of their kids, and so him leaving did create a financial deficit for this family. And so it's not uncommon for him. He doesn't have to send over like his entire paycheck, but it wouldn't be uncommon for every other month or something for him to send down some money, or even just send them, you know, things that are really expensive to buy in Jamaica, you know, like toys or clothes or certain products that are really expensive, and him send it down to them, because that happens all the time. I mean, I was just so dumbfounded by it that she thought it was so selfish and it was fishy. And I was like, girl, if you actually had done your research and actually try to understand what it's like to be an immigrant and what it is to live in these kind of, to live abroad and then have families still back home that aren't doing as well. And that even if you're not doing that well in the United States, that the United States, especially when you live someplace, when you're from someplace where the US dollar is so much higher than the local dollar, and you can do so much, like $1 can do so much for your family, just like $1 US can do so much for your family. It's not uncommon to send down like something, like a little something. I mean, shit, I grew up in a household where sending down barrels of clothes, of goods, of food was normal. And so I'm looking at her like, if you had just done your research, and actually, if you actually were invested in being in a relationship with this man and not just fetishizing this man, because when you hear the story, she's like, yeah, we had lots of sex when I met him, and then I would go down. She went down like several times to meet up with him, and not before they started like dating like seriously and decided to get engaged. She was going down several times just to have sex. She's like, oh, so much fun. I would have lots of sex. We had lots of sex here, and we'd work out, and we had lots of sex. And I was like, obviously, that's all you wanted for him. All you wanted was the D, because you didn't seem to be invested in learning about the Jamaican culture, about his family, and understanding that, you know, this is a part of like everyday life when you are a part of these communities. But again, and it wasn't only her. There was a lot of people that just didn't understand, like didn't seem to understand the culture of their mate. And it mostly was the women who just didn't seem to take the time to understand the cultures of their foreign fiancés. And so that's what I learned from there. Like, learn about the cultures of your romantic partner. Just don't, because it's not like it's not important, because it is important, and it's going to cause problems for your relationship later down the line. So, that got real serious. 3B. This is a little section of it. 3B. So, what was the third one? 3B. Don't fall in love with the sexy bae at the resort. Because Stella may have gotten her groove back, but in real life, like in real life, like the author who based her experience of meeting a man in Jamaica and falling in love with him and bringing him back to the U.S. and then wrote a book about it, Terry McMillan. In real life, what happened to Stella was that he was gay and he used her for a green card. And I'm not saying all of them are going to be gay, but he might be using you for a green card. Because there was a couple people on 90 Day Fiancé where they're like, oh, we met on the resort and I love him and he was giving it to me and he was so sweet. And then he came up here and he was just like, not like that. And as soon as we got married, he left me, and, you know, I tried to get him kicked out the country, or we got divorced and he got married to somebody else immediately. That's because homeboy was looking for a green card, or homegirl was looking for a green card. So just because you see sexy bae at the resort, and especially if they're working at the resort and they see you and you single and they talk you up, especially for the ladies. This is really for the ladies, but for the men get hooked by this too. And they're all like, you know, and if you could never, okay, let me not say never, because never say never, but if you in your normal life back home would not be likely to be able to date someone who looks like the person who is flirting with you while you're on vacation, they're probably not interested in you. They're probably only interested in getting a green card and will do whatever is necessary to get that green card. Anything necessary. Any means necessary. If I gotta have sex with this nasty looking old ass person, that's what they're gonna do. In some cases, it just don't make no sense. They're like 20 years older than them. And it's like, for me, it's just so jarring when you have like these old white women that live in the middle of them, like live in like Trump country. That's the only way I could put it. They live in Trump's America, like Trump country. And then go and find themselves some black man from Nigeria or from the Dominican Republic or whatever, and then bring them back to their buttfuck hole town in the middle of Trump America, Trump country, and think there's not going to be no problems, or think that this person really loves them, and is not just looking for an opportunity to come to the United States and get a green card. And then once the time period is over and actually they have their like actual green card, that they won't leave you. Like, what the hell? Are you kidding yourself? Are you kidding yourself? If you look like Mama June and you're able to say that your fiance is Idris Elba, girl. Come on. If you look like Trump and you're able to go and get yourself a Beyonce from Brazil or Colombia or from Russia, she ain't really interested in you. She trying to get that green card. And in most cases, especially with the men that get these like women from over there, like they're also getting money and gifts. Like, oh, you know, shower me with gifts. I think that was one of them. Like, pretty much, she pretty much said to him, like, I'm only interested in you because you said you had money, and I came here and you talking about we gotta save, we got a budget. Come on, I'm ready to go back home. That's how you know. So you should be paying attention to that realize that, yeah, you can. I'm not saying don't have sex with this person. If you think they're interested in you, you better use them, or they're trying to use you. But don't fall in love. Don't be Stella. Don't be Stella. Don't bring them back. Get your groove on, but don't bring them back. Number 4. This is from the Real Housewives of Atlanta, particularly the past 2 seasons. And I got this from, this is not only Real Housewives of Atlanta, but mostly I got this from Eva. So here's the lesson. Don't talk shit or lie. So don't talk shit about somebody in your group, or don't lie and act like you didn't say something or you don't remember what you said when you are on a television show and they have a camera like recording you, or if there's actual proof. So if you're talking shit about somebody in your circle, let's take it out of the reality TV show land. If you're talking shit about one of your friends or friends or whatever, and you're doing this on text or you're doing this on the phone and you don't know someone's recording you, and then when someone comes and tries to confront you about it, and you talk about, oh, I don't remember saying that, or I didn't say that, that's not what I recall, don't try it. Don't do it, because it will always come back to you. The best thing to do is to always fess up to your shit. That is how I always feel about it. Trust me. I don't really talk. I mean, I love to gossip. Put that down there. I'm a bone collector. I love collecting information, and somehow information always seems to land in my lap. But if I'm talking shit about somebody, I have no problem saying that to their face if they want to confront me about it, because why lie about it? If you were saying that shit and you were all bold and you thought you were cute and funny with your reads and the way you talk about it, like, that's fine. I mean, I have a friend. I have a friend from high school that I always talk about her kids, but not in a malicious way, but maybe she might think it's malicious. But I say that her oldest son, that he was up in the club when he was an infant, which is like, it's a joke, but it's true, because when I met her baby, she had brought her baby to a funeral, and I was like, okay, so you couldn't just get a babysitter instead of bringing your baby to, like, your fresh born baby, like maybe like 2-month old, to a funeral. And I know that I stayed away because I was dealing with a nasty cold. I actually stayed away from most people and sat to the side because I was like dying. But because this was a dear friend's family member that died, I wanted to be there. I wanted to show up for the viewing, and so I showed up, but I stayed to the side, stayed next to the tissues, because like, one, I was crying, and 2, I was also like coughing and like just full of mucus. But I was like, okay, I know I'm sick. I know probably a whole bunch of other people here are sick, because it happened in the winter. It was like November or something. And I was like, you bring your baby here, okay? And then the next month, we had like a Christmas party with drinks and stuff. It was like an ugly sweater party with drinks and stuff, and the baby was there again. I was like, why didn't you get a babysitter? Do you need money for a babysitter? And so that's why I keep on bringing up the joke. Like, that kid, like, if you really want to get your kid, like, want them to get some germs so that they can get used to, so they can build up an immunity, bring your child around that child, because that child was up in the club. That child know how to party. If you that child has all the immunities to all of the germs, because he was up around like dirty, nasty, like adults when he was still fresh out the womb. So but I have no problem saying that to her, but we're not friends like that. But if she ever heard that I was saying that about her kid, I'd be like, yeah, that's where I got it from. It's not malicious. But I was saying that. But from Eva this past season, she's been saying all kinds of stuff about people, and try to talk about, like, one of them was, she was talking about Portia and saying, like, Portia needs to stay out of my business because she hasn't even healed from her C-section scars yet, and if she really wants something to mine, I can send her some blogs about her cheating man. And I was like, oh, that was a good read. It was real funny. But then when Portia tried to confront her about it because someone else told her what she said, she was like, oh, I don't remember saying that. And it's like, and the person who told Portia was Candy, was like, yeah, you said that. And she's like, no, I don't remember saying that. And then Portia was like, so you calling Candy a liar? And Candy's like, I'm not a liar. And so that's why, if you said all that stuff, just say, you know what, I don't remember it in that way, but I probably did say it. I'm sorry, girl. Like, if you feel sorry about it. And if not, if you don't feel sorry about it, just be like, yeah, I said it, and what? So you gotta pull out your Nini. I said what I said. I said what I said. Now what? I said what I said. I said what I said. So that's what that's lesson number 4 about, like, don't, like, you know, be able to back up your stuff. Back it up. And Eva's not the only person that's getting caught in stuff like this. I've also learned that from, like, Yandy from Love and Hip Hop New York, where she's a queen of lies. I'll tell you right now, I don't like Yandy, but I do respect her as a businesswoman. I think she is definitely someone who's worked hard and definitely deserves the success she's gotten. But in her personal life, she's a liar. And that the main example I'm thinking of is when she was at the reunion for Love and Hip Hop New York. I don't remember what season, but she was on there with her quote unquote husband, because she ain't married to him. That's another lie. She said that she married to this dude, but she never turned in the marriage certificate, which means that they're not married. Had a whole wedding special, but they ain't married. My husband, but girl, you ain't married. You can call him your husband all you want to. I can call him my husband, but if you ain't got a marriage certificate that is filed with the state, he's nobody to you. Your baby daddy. And so she had one of her sisters or her cousins attack one of her man's baby mamas on the stage, and then try to say, like, oh, I don't know that person. But then they show the video. They just, like, rewound back and was like, we saw you say, oh, that's my sister, get her, girl, da 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 da. And it's like, Yeti, why you lying, girl? Why you lying? Why you always lying? And they got you on camera. She tried to say that she didn't send Kimbella to go mess with another one of her that same baby mama, to not mess with her. And then she was mic'd, and they were like, yes, you did. You told her to go do it. And you try to act like you did. And they were just pulling out all the receipts on her and showing how much of a liar she was. And I'm like, why would you lie when you know that you're always being recorded, or that you're mic'd? Like, you must love lying and think that's a great thing. And if that was it, then why don't you make that your storyline, that you're a liar? Like, that'd be great. But she was always talking about, like, no, I didn't say this, I didn't say that. It's like, yes, girl, you did. So I also learned that from Yandy Smith, not Harris. Number 5. I'm sorry. Number 5 that I've learned from reality TV. Friends are important. You need good friends, because when you don't have friends, you can always tell when someone ain't got no friends. And I'm taking this example from Princess Love, wife of Ray J Norwood, or Willie Ray Norwood Jr. of Love and Hip Hop Hollywood fame. It has been very apparent from the time that girl showed up that she ain't got no friends. She has no friends. All she has is her man and now her kids. But she ain't got no friends, because she is constantly nagging this dude when, I mean, he might be doing dirt. Like, it's Ray J. But a lot of the things that she's nagging him about are about his business that brings them money, so she can sit down and nag him and look pretty and have, you know, a nice house to nag him in. And she's kind of like, oh, he's working, he's always going here, he's always going there. And the dude, like, Ray J asked her to move to Vegas because that's where most of his businesses are and where they're flourishing. And she said, no, I don't want to move there. And they got into a whole fight. And it's like, girl, so why, like, do you not want to move back to Vegas because that's where you met him, because you used to be Floyd Mayweather's one of his girlfriends, and then you got with Ray J because you knew Floyd was about to leave you? Or are you afraid that Ray J is going to cheat on you because that's how you met him, because he was with Tiara when you got with him and he was cheating on Tiara with you? And you were cheating on Floyd with him? Like, what is it? Are you afraid that the shit's gonna come back at you? Or do you have no other business than him? And that was like the most apparent thing, because when they were getting married, they had, you know, when you looked at her bridesmaids and stuff and like her wedding planning, there was like no friends there. Like, she had no friends. And it was just so kind of sad to see, like, somebody who is, like, quote unquote so beautiful, like, you know, living this lavish life. Because that one thing I will say about Ray J and Princess is that they really are living that life. Like, what they're showing is true. And for the fact that I know that Ray J is not getting paid $3,000 an episode, because he definitely negotiated a good paycheck for that show, because he definitely is flying in those private jets. That's not a Bow Wow challenge where you say you fly in a private jet and you really in coach with us. Like, he really is living that life. Like Raycon, his business, like the headphones really are like, you know, selling. Like he has been paying a lot of people to advertise for Raycons, which are I'm trying to get it. Hey Ray J, can I advertise your in your ear, you know, like wireless headphones, earbuds? Come on. Hit Toy T over here, because he had the Reed talking about it. He had a bunch of YouTubers talking about it. His Scooty bikes are making money. Like, he is working, and Princess is nagging. That's what she's doing. She's nagging, and she's staying on the internet. And I just learned from that, like, you need friends. But here's a caveat on that. I learned from catfish that you definitely need friends, but they may be your catfish. Yo, so fucked up. Can you imagine? I could not. See, this is why you gotta do your due diligence. This is why you need to learn how to use Google image search. They send you this cute picture, you go ahead and you screen grab that, you save it, you go to Google Images, and when it says upload picture, you upload that picture and try to find the source. If you find that this is a stock photo, or this is a photo of someone else, and they told you their name is Jerome and their name is really Thomas, red flag. If your friend is really invested in it and seems to be like egging you on or something, you might want to look at that friend a little closer, because that's what I learned from catfish, that some of these catfishes, be they best friends, they're roomies, that are either trying to help them out. They're like, well, you were in a slump, like right now, like for me, dating slump, like a motherfucker, okay? And some of it is like, I just don't go out. 1, 2, you know, I'm on these dating sites. Like, I'm currently on Bumble, and I find like some of these guys cannot have like a full on adult conversation, and I just like, I'm not interested if you don't have a full-on adult conversation. And some of it is just like, it just takes so much time. But I could only imagine if one of my friends knew exactly what I was into. Like, okay, so, hey girl Aisha, she would know who I'm into. So I could never imagine if I was in a slump and I was like, girl, I feel so ugly, and I can't believe I got no man. I just need somebody to love me and tell me I'm pretty. And she decided to, like, you know, decides to pull up Idris Elba, because I definitely think he's sexy. Love me a dark chocolate man. And she picked up Idris Elba pictures. Let's say I didn't know it was Idris Elba. And she put it on Bumble site, because she knew I'm on Bumble. And then knew that I would swipe, you know, right on this person. And then proceeded to have a conversation on me based off the information that she knows about me. That would be a problem. I just could not imagine that. And then come back and say, well, girl, I was trying to boost your ego and make you feel pretty. But it's like, how am I feeling pretty when you pulled up somebody, you created somebody to falsely like boost me up, and then you didn't even have you didn't even have the honesty in yourself, or just the wherewithal or the guts to come to me and tell me, you know what, I didn't mean to do that. But not all of them are like that too. Some of them are like, you know, you said some shit about me like in the 4th grade, and now I'm getting you back. And I was like, are you serious? Are we really this petty? And so that's another lesson. Your friends are important, but also know that your friend might be your catfish. Let's move on. I want to get through this. Oh my gosh, it's getting long. So that was number 5. Number 6, do not put your relationship on the internet streets. Okay. This is what I'm learning. Okay. I'm learning that I learned this from Princess Love. This is from Love and Hip Hop Hollywood. I learned this from Princess Love, from A1 and Lyrica. I've learned this from Real Housewives of Atlanta, from Portia. I've learned this from pretty much any of these shows where you put your business on the streets, your relationship business on the streets. Because if you do that, you're inviting people to comment on your relationship and even continue to egg on your relationship issues or dig into your stuff. And so I learned, let's just use Princess Love, right? Actually, yeah, let's lose Princess Love, and putting out her relationship stuff like, oh my gosh, Ray J, he left me, and I'm pregnant with the baby, and he don't even know where I am, and he's probably cheating with somebody, and I confronted him, and it's like, okay, you're doing all this and talking on live on it, like, we don't need to know this. Like, you really should have kept this to yourself. This is why I said she ain't got no friends. Like, if you have a problem, you would have said this to your friends, not your internet friends who aren't really your friends, who are just like me, just taking in all the good juicy gossip, and then when y'all get back together, remind you that he pushed you in the pool. It's like, come on, just don't do it. If you care about your relationship, just don't put it out on the internet streets. And this is for regular people. Like, just don't post all of your issues out there. I have a friend that I can only assume that her husband was cheating on her and had a baby on her because she put all that information out there. Like, oh, I see you went out with your mistress. And she is just still continuously giving us this information, and even points out that her family members tell her not to put this information out there. And I'm just like, oh, girl, like, you have kids with this person. Like, one of your kids can definitely read. Can definitely read and see this. And it's not healthy to have you can have an issue with their father, but like, the children should have their own individual relationships with their father. Even if he cheated on their mother and has a new woman and whatever, and they feel a certain kind of way, like, they still should be able to have a relationship with their father that is separate from what he's done to their mother. And putting your information out on the internet streets is only just like, it's only entertaining other people. And not really like creating an atmosphere where people can support you and be like, well, girl, that happened to me too, and this is what you should do. Because yeah, the first post you do that, but then you take it to the private, you take it to a private chat, you take it to a private group, and then you can kind of talk about it. But you should not be putting your business out on the internet streets, your relationship business, because if you decide to take that person back, everyone's going to remember all the shit that person did to you. Or if you decide that you want to, I learned this from April Jones, also from Love and Hip Hop Hollywood. If you end up having like a custody issue or a divorce settlement issue with this ex, and you put all the business out there, their lawyer can take this information and show that you are unstable or you were doing things that were malicious towards them, and you don't want to give your ex's lawyer any kind of ammunition against you. Like, for April Jones, she lost full custody of her kids because Omarion, her ex, and the father of her two children, was able to pull up all the stuff that she had said about him, all the stuff she was doing on the internet, and use it against her. And that is sad. You don't want to give someone else ammunition to use against you. Don't give your killer the bullet. Don't give your killer the bullet and the gun. Okay? Don't do that. Let's move on. So we are moving on to number 7. Number 7, and it still comes from Love and Hip Hop Hollywood and April Jones, I just mentioned. So this is what we learned from the Omarion, April Jones, and Little Fizz saga. This is what I learned from it. Don't mess with your coworker or your friends, baby mother or baby father, unless you're prepared to talk to them like adults. Like, have a full-on conversation like adults, and not put this on the internet, but have like a private conversation as adults. Or if you're also ready to lose out on money like Little Fizz did, because he wanted to think he was cute. So Little Fizz and Omarion, if you don't know, were in the group B2K. They both were on the show, Love and Hip Hop Hollywood. April came on the show with her, who I think Marion was her fiance at the time. He's the father of her two children. They broke up. I think girlfriend is still dealing with that breakup and still sad and still wants to be back with Omarion and his big member. Whew. And as a retaliation, decided to get with Little Fizz. I think Little Fizz saw that she was vulnerable and decided to get with her. But instead of saying, and they have kids involved, so instead of being like, you know what, I really do like this person, and I know this is the mother of the children of my my bandmate and my friend or former friend or associate, instead of being like, you know what, we're gonna sit down and have like a real conversation and say, you know what, I know this is awkward, but like we have chemistry. I really care about her, and she really cares about me, and I care about your kids too, and I would never do anything to harm them or to hurt them. And I just want to tell you this, like man to man or woman to woman or whatever. That's fine. But no, instead, what they decided to do was to use this whole love triangle as a storyline on Love and Hip Hop Hollywood for probably $3,000 an episode. And it's like, wow, that was really stupid. And so they came off looking stupid and petty. And, you know, Omarion came off as unbothered because he never responded to it until the end and was like, you know what, you can be together, just change the narrative. Don't put me in your narrative. Don't use me as a part of your storyline. Don't say that I'm this issue in your relationship when I'm not. And Omarion being like, you know, I don't know what sign he is, but he seemed like a petty Cancer, but he's probably not a Cancer. He decided to, you know, go on tour again, the Millennium Tour, the part 2 that's coming out, and decided to cut out his bandmates, particularly Little Fizz, so that Little Fizz can't make no money off of this. And it's like, well, you ready to embarrass me and use me as a storyline, and wasn't even man enough to come and talk to me. If you really do love the mother of my children, you weren't man enough to come up and talk to me and say, like, you know, I know this might be awkward, but like, you know, this is our relationship, and we're not going to be like, you know, trying to embarrass you by like constantly mentioning you in our relationship. Then he wouldn't have missed out on the bag. And so that's what I learned from that situation, is that like, you should not mess with a friend, a coworker, a bandmate, whatever, associates, mother or father of their children, ex-wife, ex-husband, whatever, unless you're ready to deal with the consequences, unless you're ready to be an adult and have an adult conversation with that person. If that person decides to be petty and be a child, that's something else. You come off looking clean because that person decided to react like a child. But if they decided to, if you really have that conversation and everyone is adult about it and are able to discuss it, you're good. You wouldn't miss out on a bag and you won't cause any drama. But if you aren't, you're going to have problems. And that's what I learned from Love and Hip Hop Hollywood. Thanks, April. And Little Fizz. Number 8. Let's see. Oh, number 8. This is a fun one. Don't fuck all of your coworkers. I can't find any other word to use but that. So it's just going to be a little explicit here. Don't fuck all of your coworkers and not be great at your job. Who did I learn this from? Can you tell? I learned this from Donna from Black Ink Crew, New York. Homegirl can barely tattoo. Has been on the show, was supposed to come on as an apprentice, but she spent so much time fucking every single person in that damn shop. She had sex with Ted. She had sex with Richard, aka Oh Shit. She had sex with oh my gosh, she had sex with Duchess. She had sex with what's the other one? The one that's a manager. Oh my gosh. So Ted, I can't remember his name, but you know, if you watch the show, you know who he is. The one that is the manager. She had sex with him too, but she pretty much had sex with everybody in the shop except for Caesar, the owner. But she can barely tattoo. And I say this, and she's been fired several times, and it's like, girlfriend, why do you keep coming back to the shop? Oh, because 1, it's on TV, and 2, you cannot take your skills to another tattoo shop because you cannot tattoo. You've been on the show several years and you cannot tattoo. And the only thing that people know you for is that you had sex with everybody there. Her current boyfriend, fiance, Alex, she had sex with him in a bathroom stall while he was rolling a blunt while hitting her from the back and eating chicken on her ass. And she had a boyfriend at the time. But is she a great tattoo artist? No. And could not be like, well, you know what, if you want to fire me, fine, I'm just going to take my skills someplace else. Just like a good example is Duchess. Duchess had, you know, was in a relationship with the shop owner. It went sour, and you know, when it goes sour, you got to go. But she was able to go because she is a good tattoo artist. She has skills, and she was able to open up her own shop and move on. The same thing if you look at Black Ink Crew Chicago, where you had Kat, who was having sex with Ryan, who was the shop owner. And he decided that he wanted to get back with his baby mama, and Kat had to go because it was going to be awkward. But you know what Kat has? Kat has has tattoo skills, and she was able to just be like, you know what, I gotta go, I'm gonna leave. And she opened up her own shop in Los Angeles and is able to live her life. But what is Donna doing? Nothing. And that's what you can do in your real life, is that you need to concentrate on the things that you're good at. If you're going to be, messing around with people who your coworkers, your boss, whatever, you better be damn good at your job. You better be very good at your job, because when the shit hits the fan, and it will, it probably will, you better be able to take your skills and go someplace else. You better be able to still stand on your own 2 feet and not have to continuously crawl back to this job and beg and embarrass yourself and have people treat you like trash because you spend so much time on your back instead of sitting on your butt and learning how to do your job. That's what I learned from Donna from Black Ink Crew, New York. Thank you, Donna, for that lesson. I appreciate you, girl. I appreciate you. I don't like you, but I appreciate you. Number 9. Don't worry, we're getting there. Number 9. You can't settle down with a cheater. If you are the one they cheated on they cheated with. Where did I learn this from? A couple of people. And some of them, here are the sources. So I learned this from Keeping Up with the Kardashians. And I'm going to use Khloe Kardashian, who, got with Tristan, the father of her child, Tristan Thompson, while he was with his girlfriend who was pregnant at the time, and try to act like she didn't know he was still with him. And he was saying like, oh, I'm gonna have my cousins tell you that I ain't with her. Okay, why are you getting everyone but the girl to tell you like I ain't with him no more? Because if you're in a relationship and not even just a relationship that is going to continue with this other woman because of the fact that he's having a child with her, why can't you sit down and be like, hey girl, so I just want to know, are y'all still involved? When did you break up? But she didn't want to do that because she knew that he was cheating on his pregnant girlfriend, Jordan. And so when he ended up publicly cheating on her and she tried to cry crocodile tears, it's like, girl, you can't settle down with a cheater that cheated on someone else with you. You just got to learn. I mean, I'm not saying that, I'm not judging her for the cheating part, because I have been cheated on. I have been cheated with. And all kinds of parts of the cheating circles. Things are complicated, and men lie. Just saying, men lie, women lie, and sex can be like an aphrodisiac that makes you forget that people lie and you hurting other people's feelings. But in her case, it was just like, what the hell? Like, you can't settle down with a cheater. Let's move on. You can also learn that from Aniko Hart, and I can put her on here because of the fact that they have a docuseries. Kevin has a docuseries on Netflix, which I have not watched. I refuse to watch because I think he's a narcissist, and I don't think he is very honest about. I don't think he's sincere about his apologies. And so he cheated on Aniko while she was pregnant, but she tried to have crocodile tears on. Well, maybe not crocodile tears. I think she was just embarrassed. And apparently from the show and from the clips I've seen, she says, well, how could you do this to me? Not why did you do this, but how could you do this to me? As in like implying, and from all the think pieces that I've read about the docuseries, implies that she was mad, not that he cheated on her, but that he cheated on her publicly. And I think that's because they probably had an understanding, because she was the person that he cheated, was one of the people, according to her, she was one of the people that he was cheating on his first wife. When he was cheating on his first wife with, and she just happened to stick. She happened to be one that sticks, and she goes back and tries to say, well, no, y'all was separated when we got together. And it's like, girlfriend, stick to a story, okay? Stick to a story, or don't talk at all. Because we still judging you. You want to cry that he cheated on you and you embarrassed, but we all remember that you were the one that he cheated on his first wife with, and continuously talked about in his comedy shows. And his first wife actually had a platform to tell people, no, I was still married to this man. I was married to him. I had 2 children with him. I was with him when he was working at Foot Locker. And then when he started to get a little bit of shine from these comedy specials and from getting a little movie here and there, that's when these chicks that wouldn't have looked at him twice started popping up. That's when he started to be able to get model type chicks and not regular chicks from Philly. And so I don't know what she thought. I mean, obviously they're still together. She doesn't understand it. She's like, well, he has 2 more chances. And it's like, yeah, right, girl. He has 2 more chances to publicly embarrass you. But I think he should know better. But then again, I don't think he does. But that is what I learned from her. I also learned that from Amina and Tara that were in Love and Hip Hop New York, that were both with Peter Guns. One with Amina, who married Peter while he was with Tara, living with Tara, who was the mother of his children, and then was surprised that he was still messing with Tara and actually got her pregnant again and had a baby on her. And then Amina went back and had another baby by him after he had a baby with his girlfriend that he was cheating on with her, and complicated. But then I never felt bad for Tara, because Tara was one of the people that Peter was cheating with when he was with another baby mama. So the baby mama before her, he was still with her, and he met Tara and was cheating on the baby mama who was the mother of 2 of his daughters, and got with Tara and started having a relationship with her, and then also had a baby on Tara too. So I was like, I don't feel bad for none of y'all. Again, you cannot settle down with a cheater. That's what I've learned. Thank you for giving me that lesson. Thank you for giving me that lesson. Thank you for giving me that lesson. So every person that I have been involved with where, they were cheating on somebody while I was with them, it's a blessing that I decided that it didn't make sense to be with them. I have one ex that, okay, this makes me look really bad, but whatever. I accept my flaws. Okay. So one of my exes came back into my life, and he happened to be married, and we happened to do things that were not good for his marriage. And then he turned around and was like, you know what, if I divorced my wife and got married again, I would marry you. And I was like, why would I want to marry you? Hello? Does that make sense? I wouldn't trust you as far as I can throw you. Okay, so you can talk about me like you talk about her? I don't think so, bruh. I don't think so. And he's not the only one that, not other people I've been involved with that were married, but he's not the only married man that has made declarations of love and, wanted to get with me, and said like their girlfriend or wife or whatever was unfaithful. And it's like, dude, okay, yeah, right. You are playing your game because you want to get something. But why would I want to be with you when you are cheating on this person that is the mother of your children and your wife? Like, why would I want that? Why would I want that? Another big lesson I learned from that is another person that I was involved with, and y'all should know from, like, if you go way back into my things about, relationships and love and being a pick-me, there's one person that I was involved with for like over 10 years, longest like relationship that I've had with somebody. Complicated, but relationship. And, when I broke things off with him, I turned 30 and I was like, I can't fucking do this shit no more. This is just not healthy. And he had a girlfriend at the time. And then to find out that he was also cheating on this girlfriend with another woman who ended up getting pregnant. And he had to go and tell this girl that he was cheating on her because there was going to be a baby. And I'm like, well, and this girl decided to stay with him through this whole thing. And it's like, all right, okay, that he was cheating on you from the very beginning, right? Like the very, very beginning. And I know this because when they started like talking or dating, like I was involved with him. He was single, and he was like starting to like, I don't know, get feelings for this girl, but at the same time, like I'm in his bed, he's in my bed, like what the hell. But anyway, she decided to marry him, and I don't know if I don't know what he's doing. From what I heard, he's in therapy, and she made him, like, that was a stipulation of them getting married, that he had to go into therapy and like deal with his cheating ways, and maybe the therapist has helped him deal with stuff, because I really haven't heard much. But again, you really have to pay attention. Like, you really cannot settle down with cheaters, like, unless they have made the decision to change. They've gone through the therapy, and not that you made him go to the therapy, but that he wanted to go to the therapy for himself. So that's what I'm saying. I don't know how long that marriage is going to work. I mean, they got kids, they look happy, but again, like I said, we can't judge a book by its cover. We can't judge a relationship based off of what we see on Instagram, because when they hit that 7-year mark of being married, because that every single person says that the 7-year mark seems to be the mark where your marriage starts to get kind of like tense, and you start to think about, are we going to stay together or not stay together, or the 7-year mark in your relationship is like that, and you kind of see like, can we continue to go from there? I'd like to see what happens. I'm just saying, I don't know if he'll continue. I don't know if like it'll be like 20 years from now he'll still be married to her. I think she may divorce him if he decides to fuck up again. But anyway, that's besides the point. Again, lesson learned from all of these people: you can't settle down with a cheater. Now let's get to number 10, and I know you guys are waiting for this, and it's getting longer than I expected, but it's fun. I don't know why I decided to do 10, but number 10, here it is. I don't know if you can hear the noise in the background. I don't know why my mother decided to be so loud. Number 10, and this is the fun one. This is the main lesson. Here we go. Don't pat your puss on camera. It's not cute. It don't make you look cute. It's not sexy. It's embarrassing. And especially don't pound it the way Evelyn Lozada was doing on Basketball Wives. That is where I'm getting this lesson from. Basketball Wives, LA, with Evelyn Lozada, who in the last season was trying to prove a point to one of her cast members, OG, and saying that, an OG apparently had some kind of relationship or friendship with Evelyn's ex-husband, Chad Ochocinco or Chad Johnson. And I think Evelyn, there's a lot of other things that's going on, but Evelyn thought that there's no way in hell that, Chad would cheat on me, my beautifulness with you, which brought up, issues of colorism and all this other stuff. But I'm not going to talk about that. But in retaliation, or to make her point, she thought, and I think she was drunk, she thought it was a good idea to stand in front of that girl and say, like, every man wants this pussy, right? And decided to to punch. She was hitting that thing hard. Go ahead and look up that. I might make a meme out of it. I think I am. She went out there and was like hitting that thing real hard and thinking that she was going to make that girl jealous or make her feel bad about herself. And it's like, girl, you look like a whole idiot. Another person, I think last year, 2019, was the year of patting the puss and looking like an idiot. April Jones, here she comes again. April Jones decided to pat, and hers was not like a hard hit. Hers was like a slight tap on the puss, and a grab, and was saying, like, she went on live wearing some underwear and was talking about how Omarion, The Game, Little Fizz, everybody wanted to fuck this puss or pussy. And then she had one of her lesbian friends come up behind her and grabbed it. It was like, okay, girl, you need friends. You need real friends. Again, coming back to lesson number 5, that you really need good friends to keep you off. I don't think any of my friends would allow me to do that. They would laugh, but they would definitely take that phone away from me, and definitely would have pulled me somewhere to not be patting my puss in public, in front of a camera where it can stay on the internet forever. This lady is really yelling in the background. So that is the last lesson that I got. I hope none of y'all gonna be doing. You ain't gonna see me patting nothing in public. The only patting I'm gonna be doing is for my man I'm gonna meet this year. and I don't think I'll have to pat. He can pat it for me. Anyway, that's the end of that section. Let's get to the last section, which is figure this out. And this is just really a debate that I found on the internet streets. So figure this out for me. Is 2020 the start of a new decade, or is it the end of the last decade? So I got this from Crystal from The Read, and she put this on Twitter, and she said, I don't want to, she said something to the effect of, like, I don't want to ruin it for you guys, but 2020 is not the start of a new decade. It's actually the end of the last decade, and I'm just gonna let y'all have it, and I'm not gonna argue with nobody. And then I went into the whole Twitter feed, and some people were agreeing and some people weren't agreeing, and I was like on the side of saying, like, well, that doesn't make any sense, because like it is a new decade, because it's the start of the 20s decade. But then when I thought about it, decades do start with 1. Like, there wasn't a year 0, and we did start with 1, and a decade is 10. And so you have to go through 1 through 10 to get to a decade. And so I guess that 2020 is the end of the last decade, and the beginning of the new decade would be 2021. But I also seen things that said, like, there was a year 0, and this is the end of the of the that this is the beginning. 2020 is the beginning of the new decade, and I'm just like, I don't think I fucking care. Like, time is relative. We created time. We created the concept of how to count time, how to quantify time, and it's actually not even the way that we're doing it. I mean, the fact that so on New Year's Eve at 5 o'clock in the afternoon or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, that my best friend from college was already in 2020 because she was in Australia, and she was the first of my friends to hit 2020, and that I wasn't hitting 2020 until much later, and I was still in 2019, and then when I hit 2020, that my friends in California weren't going to hit 2020 until 3 hours later. That just proved to me the whole idea of time being relative. The fact that we created daylight savings time, that it, again, was a creation by someone, was it Benjamin Franklin? Don't quote me on this. The fact that it was created to like push the hour ahead, push the hour behind, and there's other places that don't follow daylight savings time, again, just points out that time is relative. And why are we arguing about something that is relative? It's like arguing about race, and like the fact that, you know, there is no such thing as like like a black race, a white race, that we're all just human beings, and that the variations in our skin color and our facial features come from adaptations to the environments that we were in. And so like having an argument about people being different based off of like some kind of biological difference is wrong. It just because we created the concept of race, we can actually date it back to when race was created. And so the same thing with time. Like, why are we arguing about, like, people were getting into some real serious arguments, and I started to type, and I was like, you know what, it doesn't make any sense to get into this. I'm just going to read this, but let me know what you think. Is 2020 the beginning of a new decade, or the end of the last decade, or do you even not care? Are you like me and it's just like, well, whatever, tell me what year it is and tell me how am I supposed to count the number of years I'm alive, even though even that is a concept that is created because then people put expectations on what you should be doing based off of your age. So that is it for that. I hope you guys really enjoyed this episode. I'm so happy you guys continue to grow with me. I'm seeing the podcast really taking off. This year we're going to try to do lots more things, have more interviews. Like I said before, I'm trying to get on other podcasts too, so we can grow this tribe that we have going here. If you have not already, please do me a favor and rate and review this podcast wherever you're listening to it. It doesn't have to be Apple Podcasts. If you listen to it on Spotify, on SoundCloud, I really appreciate that you leave a review, because that is how the podcast spreads and we get to expand our network and it gets exposed to other people. And also, if you have not, please sign up for the newsletter. I am being consistent on it. Newsletter number 3 will be coming out this Friday. So go ahead, and it's in the show notes. Join the Figure Out Your Life tribe, where you'll get newsletters about updates about the podcast, what's going on with me, and any other new things that are occurring and coming this year. And also, I have decided that I'm going to start like a listener letter section. I mean, this is called Figure Out Your Life, and I mean, it should also have like, you know, an advice part of it. So if you have any questions that you want me to answer or to talk out with you, and be that friend that I said I am, I'm your best friend that you didn't know that you wanted, but you have. I'm the best friend you needed. Go ahead and you can email me at Toyat, Toyat, at figureoutyourlifeblog.com. You can send it there, and we will start once I have like at least 1 or 2, I will start reading letters on the show. But until then, just look out for new stuff. I hope you guys enjoy this like kind of fun, like kind of quirky, different different episode. And next week it's gonna get kind of serious, because there's certain life events that happened recently in my life, and I know other people have gone through it, and I'm going to talk about it. So we're gonna go right back into the serious and the everyday life problems. But I hope you enjoyed this like really fun, like nonsense type of episode, fun entertaining episode. And with that, I'm done. I hope you guys have a blessed morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are, wherever you're listening to it. I just want you guys to be blessed. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you guys next week. All right, guys. Bye.